It unpacks some of the political implications of Jacob Zuma's fight back with political analyst Professor Sipho Seepe. A very good morning to you, Professor. Thank you so much for your time. So we do know that the former president wields great power still in the ruling party. We are seeing that he enjoys a great deal of support, with some of his supporters even marching to ANC's offices in the KZN. Does the ANC have anything to handle where this matter is concerned? How do they handle this matter?
Well, I don't think the ANC has a standing on this matter, other than to express its displeasure. But at the same time, the ANC could also be accused to also be implicated. They had failed to act much earlier on this issue, and as all of them will say, it should not have come to this matter. But most importantly is that there is also an issue of law. I mean, the decision by Zuma's lawyers to go to court raises very interesting issues that should be of concern, not politically. That for the first time in South Africa, we'll be having a person detained without trial, imprisoned without trial. And because what happened in a constitutional court were simply the exchange of papers, what people call motion proceedings. And as the minority judgment did indicate, that if the Zondo Commission was very unhappy with the former president's non-compliance, the Commissions Act allows them to open a criminal case against him, but they failed to do so. So there's an issue of error in law, which the minority judgment points out, which creates all these issues that I mentioned, like detention without trial. And also, the Constitutional Court could have the issue of simply sentencing direct. It also is not consistent with even the Commissions Act, especially the heavy sentence, because some people felt that in a matter like this, it should have been a suspended sentence, or at least they could have called him. Remember, what people must also put on the table is the fact that when Mogoeng wrote to Jacob Zuma, he simply said, "What sanction do you expect, appropriate sanction, should you be found guilty?" He had not yet been found guilty. And it was simply say, suppose you are found guilty, what type of sentence? And this is very unusual. So we're dealing with issues that are unprecedented. And yet the same court talks about saying we're going to treat you like all other citizens, which is actually not true. Because what you see here is a court that expressed its own irritation. And in so doing, it undermines the totality of issues. But here's another issue. The issue of, here you have a man who's very sick, who's 79 years old, and you put him in prison. That is not only detention without trial, it's also a possibility of a death sentence over a person who had said, I have a case not to appear before Zondo, and I've approached the court. So the Constitutional Court has even undermined the motion proceedings that are in the lower courts. So there is something very problematic about this. So one hopes that with this posture that has been taken to approach the court to consider its position, and in terms of even the penalty. Because what Jacob Zuma says is that I'm not even asking for your sympathy. All I want is for you to adjudicate this without the passion, without the anger, because I did not mean to irritate you. So we don't expect our judges to come to conclusions on the basis of their irritation. And when you look at the language that they use, it's a language of irritation. It's not a language of people who are very sober in terms of the calmness that we expect from judges.
Now, Professor, with everything that you're saying, all of the dynamics that are at play here, we've heard accusations against President Cyril Ramaphosa that he's fighting political battles using the courts. Now, with everything that you've mentioned, that, there is error in law and that we are seeing an unprecedented approach in dealing with this case with the former head of state, could that be the case? Could the current sitting president be fighting political battles using the courts?
Well, I don't think he is that reckless in terms of his actions. You can't pinpoint that this is what he's done, unless if you can show that he has approached a certain judge or prosecutor, or so that's park that aside. But what is most important is that when we talk about our democracy and constitutional democracy, we must talk about the justice being seen to be done. And in this case, it is not only the ordinary supporters of Jacob Zuma. You have also judges of the Constitutional Court who feel that justice has not been done. there's a sense where here people are so caught up in anti-Zuma and pro-Zuma. Here we must be talking about justice. And when you have two senior judges in a constitutional court says, here we see a problem. And when you have people on the ground saying, here we see a problem, this court does not derive authority because it can threaten people. It derives authority because of its morality, moral standing, moral power. But when the court, you have half of people saying this cannot be right, then justice is not seen to be done. This court is actually failing. And this is why some people are beginning to consider it to be nothing but a kangaroo court.